Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Tuesday night huddle. Yeah, yeah, we about to get busy up in here. How's that pizza? Oh, y'all got donuts too? I didn't see the donuts. Uh huh. Well, you know what? I'm glad to be here, everybody. My name is Greg Ketter. For those of you that don't know, and I've met most of you guys, and you know what? It's been my pleasure over the last 16 years. Sometimes I still can't believe it's been 16 years of being associated with Hope for Prisoners since day one. You know, and it was in a broom closet. I always tell everybody, and John's still denying that we started in a broom closet. I said, John, when you got brooms in the corner, brooms and mops and a bucket, it's a broom closet, you know. But we've come a long way. We've come a real long way, and I like to think that we impacted a lot of people's lives, you know, for the better. And we will continue to, you know. We're going to have highs and lows and peaks and valleys, but I believe in this organization, or I wouldn't be here. And I've seen over close to 7,000 lives that we help change, help improve and turn around. You know, people getting jobs and careers and reuniting with their family. You know, this is important stuff, folks. You know, I consider this, we're heaven's hands. You know, we're heaven's hands. So we reach down and we help people achieve their goals and their dreams. And that's one of the things I want to talk about tonight. I'm going to give you a chance to do the pop-up, as they call it, first. Yeah, but we're going to talk about goals. I want to talk about goals, and I want to talk about dreams, and then what it takes, you know. So I woke up like about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was thinking about this because I've prayed over you guys, you know, that I would give you information that would enhance your life, you know, because this is serious, you know. So I came up with 3 commitments because I'm thinking, what helped me get over the hump, you know? And I'm still, you know, still efforting to ascend, but just to get to this point in my life. And I thought about commitment and 3 particular commitments that really made a difference in my life. And I'd like to, if you guys will allow me, I'd like to talk to you about those commitments, you know. So we're not going to do a training today. We're going to talk. We're going to have a little conversation. And if you have any questions or statements, you know, then you're welcome. You're welcome. Just raise your hand and let me know, because this is all of our deal tonight. But so the pop-ups, how does that go? Popcorn testimony. Okay. So who's got some popcorn that you want to testify about? Okay. So we'll just do it one at a time. Ladies first, right? And so come on up and share with us. All right.
Hi, everybody. My name's Tiara. And so I just had something miraculous happen today. God did it, okay? I don't want to make it too long, okay? So basically, I got locked up 2 years ago. I have 7 kids. My 7 kids got taken away. And for the whole 2.5 years that I have been without my kids, that's the main thing that I pray to God about. I said, please, just get me right so I can be the mom that my kids need me to be. Change me, change my life around so that I can teach my kids and show them who you are. And last month I went to court. I went to family court for my children, and basically they were saying my family has more than half of my kids. I have 2 kids that are still in the system, but we're working on it. And they were saying that they weren't willing to do an open adoption with me or allow me to be in my kids' my kids' life. I have court tomorrow just for like a calendar call, and God woke me up out of my sleep. I was napping, and he said, call your lawyer. So I called her. I just was trying to like check and see what time I was going to court. So when I called her, she said, I haven't talked to your family. She said, I've been calling them, and I can't get in touch with them to see what to do. She's like, I could write the paperwork up in 10 minutes. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. So I gave her a number to somebody else, my grandmother, to try to get in touch with him. She called me back 5 minutes later. She said, I was going through my emails. I was able to find your family's number. She said, I called them, and they said they're willing to let you be in your children's life. One more second in the midst of that, God said, she's going to call you back and she's going to tell you that the answer is yes. He said, I want you to realize that you are in a season of restoration. You are not in a season of lack, okay? You've been consistent, you've been with me, you've been staying with me, and I'm giving you back everything that they took from you, okay?
Very nice. Congratulations. You want to do male, female, male, female? Okay, so it's a male's turn. Come on up.
It was like April last year. You know, my name's Jackie. For all of y'all don't know me. I'm Jackie. You know, it was April of last year. I was telling my kids I gotta go because I was about to do something that's gonna worsen it. So I just came out here. You know, my dad is good friends with DP. For y'all to know DP, and he said, "Go to Hope." So I'm coming to Hope. I'm here. And I had decided to stop drinking last year, in the beginning of last year. This is on my own because I had seen what it was doing to my children. Where's that lady at? The lady that just came up here? I've been fighting for my kids for 4 years. You know, running to them, getting away because I'm getting angry, running to them. But I just started believing. Then I went to the church that she attends. And that pastor told me it's just for a season. October of 2024, my dad's bishop, I'm trying to do this without crying, said, your kids is coming home. Don't worry about what nobody say. Every day I'll fight, every day. Not to take my daughter to get ice cream, not to be at my son's first championship. But I am now a year and 6 months sober of alcohol on my own. And to see my son and my dad and the people from the church encourage me, but every day I'm ready to relapse. Every single second I'm ready to relapse. But through all of that, I was able to forgive God for taking my mom through all of these things. So I'm telling you, my popcorn testimony is that you have to be still and know He's God. You have to understand that when you feel like giving up, you can't give up. Don't worry about the adoption. Don't worry about it. Worry about that there's a God. Because me, I shouldn't be here. My cousin died from drinking, bleeding from every hole in his body, and I'm still here. So with that being said, my testimony is I'm about to get my kids back. I'm in a position. I got one of my sons here in Vegas with me right now, and he's gonna, as he would say, throw the alley-oop for me to give up his summer to help me. So with that being said, everybody that's in here, 2 weeks, about almost a month ago, I was ready to give up on hope. But Juliana said, you can't give up on my watch. So with all that being said, that everybody's in here, parole, non-parole, to walk in a building and they greeting me, I'm not the person that people would greet. But just hearing you, God wanted me to tell you, don't you give up and don't you let them people tell you what you can't do. I've been running from God for a long time. And I realized this a couple days ago, I got to give back for all that I've done. So with that being said, everybody that's in here, kids, non-kids, you can't give up on your biggest investment, which is self. So that's my popcorn testimony.
All right. Good stuff. Okay, I guess it's ladies' turn now. Come on up. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Aisha. I fulfilled my vivid vision. My dream started with playing with Legos, babysitting as a teenager. And I wanted to do more than just play with Legos. I wanted to build something and be able to walk past and say, I helped build that. I'm a licensed welder today, y'all. I completed my vivid vision thanks to Mr. Greg, thanks to Miss Marche, thanks to Miss Stacy, thanks to Hope for Prisoners, thanks to Mr. John Ponder, and thanks to my God above all. Thank y'all for listening.
All right. Congratulations. Okay, I'll bring the mic over to you. Here you go.
Thank you. My name's Gary, and my testimony is this past week, George, who was a guy who was helping all of us in prison, sending us literature and whatnot. I finally got to meet him. We went out and had lunch together. About 3 hours we spent together. It's great. He's coming back. He's in Utah right now. He's coming back, and he's going to be here and he's going to come to Hope for Prisoners on the 7th of July with us. So he's going to be here to share with us. Also, another neat thing happened. It was kind of put on my heart to say to my neighbor, hey, would you like to go to my church service with me? I thought, whatever. So I said that, and he said yes. We went to the church service. He loved it. His name is Richard. He's been a great neighbor to me, doing all kinds of things. I've been blessed by him. And I hope that him joining and coming to church with me was a blessing for him. Thank you. Praise be to the Father.
All right. Good stuff. Is there anybody else? Come on up, All right.
My name is Antonio Blanchard. I'm not from here. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. And I did 14 years in prison, left as a child. I didn't know what I was going to do when I came home from prison. Luckily, I had a great woman by my side. She moved to Vegas about 2 years ago. I came home from prison about 8 months ago. And I got here and found out about Hope for Prisoners. And as yesterday, I received my CDLs through Hope for Prisoners. So I want to appreciate everybody from Hope for Prisoners. Thank everybody.
All right. Yeah, congratulations. That's good stuff.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Ralph Medina. Two quick things. So I did complete 6 months in the federal halfway house with not one incident. So I start my federal probation supervised release, and I got 3 years to go. I plan on petitioning to the courts within a year. Hopefully with the good behavior, I'll be able to get off early. And also, I had to go for an assessment today for like a violent assessment type thing. And the counselor basically said that with all the progress that I have made, I don't need to do any more counseling as far as that goes because they see the progress that I have made. So that's good because the family courts were requiring me to do that just to be around my kids. So things are going good. I just want to say thank you for Hope for Prisoners for everything. Thank you, guys.
Oh, that's good stuff. Man, I'm liking this. We got any more? One or two more? Y'all making me feel good. All right, here we go. I see you back there.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stacy Burrell. I'm actually a Hope for Prisoners trainer. And I just wanted to come up here and shout out my mentors, DP, Barbara Lupe, Marjorie, Carolyn, Marche, Greg Ketter. He don't know it, but he always have been. And I'm not exempt from this process. Like, I came tonight to learn, to be a student. And I just want to encourage you to continue to trust God. Like you talked about seasons and different seasons that you are in your life. God uses everything, right? The good times and the bad times. And he's always trying to teach us something. He's always trying to make us better and more like him. So that's something that I have to work on every single day. I have to really submit myself and my life to God. And I just want to encourage all of you. And I thank Greg for being here. I'm ready.
All right. I appreciate that. Okay. Way back there in the corner.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, you don't need that? Okay. Excuse me. It's for the streaming. It's for the streaming, so.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I came to Hope to Prisoners 2018 from Washington, D.C. And it was the best thing. I mean, I was amazed. I was really amazed by this program. And in 2019, the pandemic hit. So I left. Then I came back, but I had to come back and get some more knowledge. And I came back again. That's when my journey started. I did a 10-year plan. Carolyn, Miss Dr. Carolyn, Geetha, you, John Ponder, all helped me through my plan. And I have 2.5 years left. I will retire. I just got off the road from driving semis for 3 years. And, you know, I, like they say, I'm a jack of all trades. I'm a master of none. But, excuse me, I'm talking. Okay. I'm a jack of all trades and I'm a master of none. But I would not like to be the master that only have one. Okay? See, you wasn't listening. Um, but anyway, with that being said, I say that to say this. The one thing I learned a couple of things. John always say, take the mask off and get to the inner you. I love that. Take the mask off and learn who the inner you are. And that's what I did, you know, and just coming every day. I'm a child of God. I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. You know, nothing would have happened without him. And I love this, I mean, I tell everybody, even on the East Coast, if you ever go to Vegas, go to Hope for Prisoners. You know, I don't even care if you don't have a felony. Just go and learn something because they have people coming here to help us, and they don't have to. They do not have to. But this program, I mean, it's like food, and I love to cook. So I ate up all the information, and I took it. You know what I'm saying? And I took it. And I learned one thing they said, you know, like they tell the men that don't cry. But if you don't feed the crops, then how they going to grow? So let them tears come out and just keep on growing. Because every time a tear drop, you just grow. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. I think he wanted to know about your CDL, if you got that through the Hope program. Okay, that's what you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, anybody else? Going. All right. Those are some good testimonies, right? And it really kind of cements what I wanted to talk about tonight, which is your why. You know, we all have dreams and hopes and, you know, aspirations, and I hope that everybody is really expecting a positive result. That's what hope is. Hope is expecting a positive result, you know. But you got to know why you're doing what you're doing. Because when it gets tough, and it's, you know, it's going to be up and down, just like anybody that's attended any of my classes, I never said easy. I said possible, but I never said easy, you know, because they're going to be, hard is hard. Hard takes hard work, you know, and consistency. And like I said last night, I just woke up in the middle of the night and said, oh, I had some other stuff I want to talk about, you know, do this kind of training kind of thing. I said, no. That's not what's in my spirit. You know, my spirit is, you know, talk to the folks, you know, and share some of your, you know, trials and tribulations. You know, you can't have a testimony without a test, you know. And I've had a few tests in my life, you know. God is good to me. You know, a few people reference God, and I'm a child of God and have been since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. And, you know, that's a long time ago, consider I'm 6'7", right? So I, you know, I appreciate people, and I appreciate the way I grew up. I had my dad in my life, made a big difference. You know, my mom and my dad, and Pops was a country boy from South Carolina, so I learned a lot of country stuff. You know, one day my dad told me, I'll tell you this real quick. He said, "Boy, you're out there with your friends. Y'all go in the mall. If they get sticky fingers, you get away from them, because you'd rather face a wounded bear in the woods than have me have to come down to the police department." I looked at him and said, a wounded bear in the woods, that's country right there, you know. And I found out later that's not a good thing, you know. Right. So, see, he only had an 8th grade education, so he didn't have a lot of, he had street knowledge, but intellectual stuff to tell me and to teach me. But he taught me about character and integrity. And he taught me how to be a man among men. You know, how to shake a man's hand, you know, something that maybe some young boys without a father figure in their life may not even know that that's a thing. You know, one day we were actually somewhere, my pops was taking me, and he said, Greg, you know, this big guy, big, massive man, you know, he says, you know, shake his hand like I told you, like I taught you, you know, like, like that, you know. And I went to shake this man's hand. This guy was so big, his hand was so big, you couldn't even see my hand no more, you know. He said, this the champ, Greg. So it was Joe Frazier, you know, because I'm from Philly, you know, and a lot of boxers come out of Philly, right? So little things like that I learned. And for you parents, you know, for boys and girls, the things that you teach them will stay with them for life, good and bad. You know, so I love to hear that your children are really, really important, and your why, your sense of purpose. More is caught than is taught when it comes to kids. They're gonna do what they see you do. They're gonna say what they hear you say. You know, and as I said in class, you know, you can't go, boy, when you grow up, you ain't gonna be smoking. You're not gonna be a smoker. And you just, what do you think they're gonna do as soon as they get a chance to, you know, get a pack of Newports, right? Because you're giving them permission. So you are their guiding light. You want your children to be, you know, to feel like they can come to you and talk to you about anything. But there is that line of demarcation when you have to be a parent, not a buddy, not a friend, but a parent, because that will guide them, you know, long after they're, you know, you're no longer in this world, but they're still here, you know. And you always hear people say, well, my dad used to always say, or my mama used to say, you know. So that's you now, you know. So just keep this in mind, because I'm an advocate for parents and their children, especially single moms, you know, because I know that ain't easy, you know. If I was raised in a single parent home, I know what stuff I would try to get away with, you know. Like one time I wanted to go to this party, and I said, Pops, I want to go to this party. He says, no, you can't go to the party. I was like, why not? You know, because I don't want you to become a party animal. I'm like, really? That's so corny. You don't even know what's up, you know. And then he went upstairs and went to sleep. And I thought about sneaking out. But then went, you know, what would that look like if he woke up and I'm not in the house? And Pops was ripped, right? But if it was just my mom, I might have tried to do something, you know. So it made a big difference in my life. And not that the mamas don't have the same kind of respect. They do. But fathers, speaking to the fathers right now, be that example, you know. Be that example. And you never know just how your wisdom will kick in just when they need it, just when they need to hear your wisdom, something that you planted in their brain that would keep them from going down the wrong path in life. Because how many people want your kids to have a better life than you? Raise your hands. Absolutely, absolutely. So I just wanted to say that, you know, get back to the subject at hand. That wasn't what I had written down, but, you know, I'm feeling the popcorn testimonies. Yeah, that's really cool. I've been blessed. God allows me to travel. You know, I run an international corporate training company called KDI, which stands for Keter Development International. And my clients are mostly in the Central Caribbean and the British West Indies, you know, Virgin Islands, hey, right? So we go to places like the Turks and Caicos Islands and Anguilla and down to the Lesser Antilles and the Bahamas and Jamaica, you know, things like that, you know, places like that. Now, we've been doing this since really for over 15 years now, you know. I had to get a new passport last year because the guy, and it was only 5 years old, but the guy said, sir, you have to get a new passport. I said, it's only 5 years old. He said, but I got no other place for stamps, you know. So I was like, okay. And I looked at it and I started counting the places I went. I said, my God, I've been to Turks and Caicos over 100 times, you know. It just, you know, wow, thank you, Lord, you know, because from where I come from, nobody would really say that, you know, that I would end up with this kind of career, you know. And in 2018, we expanded to the Middle East, to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And then 2020, early 2020, we expanded to Southeast Asia. And now I'm starting to work here in Las Vegas a little bit more because these airplanes, I don't know if y'all noticed, but there's been a lot of incidents with airplanes over the last year and a half. Is it just me? Every time you turn around, a plane, a near miss or something, or yesterday a drone hit a JetBlue plane, and I'm like, And guess what? And on this Sunday, I'm leaving for Asia again. I'm going to the Philippines and Japan, But it's gonna be cool. Y'all pray for me. Pray for a brother. It'll be a safe flight. But I guess my point is I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for the life, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity of being a part of Hope for Prisoners for 16 years because I've met some good people. I met some really good people, and we're gonna stay. We're going to stay in relations, in contact, because that's what people do. That's what good folks ought to hang around. Good folks ought to know good folks, right? So the things that you guys learn from us, your job, your task is to pay it forward, is to each one teach one. Because if you learn a concept or educational module or just some kind of training, then you teach it to somebody else and you become the expert. Once you start teaching it, then you become the expert. And that's what we want to do. We don't want you to just take the information, keep it to yourself. This is about making everybody in your life wiser, and so that they call it pay it forward, right? Pay it forward. So over the last 3 weeks, I've had the privilege of going into McClare, the women's correctional facility. That was a trip. I've never done that before, But it was cool, though. They seem to really embrace the information, and I hope that we get a chance to finish the program this coming Friday. But again, just going inside and seeing, what'd you say, good luck? Okay, all right. I feel confident now. Okay. But what I want to talk to you guys about, because we don't have that much time, overnight, I started thinking about the three commitments that really made a difference in my life to help me get to a place where I can be an example, and talk. And because I just got this message in my spirit to tell you that playtime is over. It's time to get in there and crush it, folks. It's time to just be bold. Remember, audentis fortuna juvat. Fortune favors the bold. It's time to be bold. It's not time to be shy. We want to make sure that we get all the blessings that our life is supposed to experience. And you can't do that by being shy, by being timid. So playtime is over. And this is the last day of the second quarter. So we're going into the third quarter, starting to the third quarter, right? Starting tomorrow. And before you know it, it's going to be the holidays. And for you entrepreneurs, you got to keep track of where you are in the year. You got to stay ahead of time, because before you know it, businesses are going to start shutting down, like right around Thanksgiving time, right? And you want to make sure that you take advantage of all the opportunities. I'm on hustle mode right now. Actually, I'm on grand hustle mode right now. I'm trying to get paid, right? And that means as an entrepreneur myself, I can't slack. I got to be on it. I got to be consistent, and I have to make sure that, I let my yeses be yes and my nos be no with all my clients. And this is something that I talk about in my executive class and my executive coaching as well. I want to start with attitude, though. And my question to you is, what is your attitude towards success? What is your attitude towards success? What do you think about? Do you really feel like you can achieve the things that are in your heart and your soul and your spirit? That you can, you have you got a good chance of achieving those things? Or do you feel like, I'm not so sure, or I'm on the fence? What do you think? What's your mindset like right now? And it's okay if it's not as strong as it needs to be. I just want you, this is a rhetorical question, I just want you to think about this right now, because you're going to need that, that go-get-em mindset. You're going to need to get out there and say, you know what, if you're not going to win with me, then get out of my way, and it's not personal, but, ain't nobody getting no younger here, right? And, as I always say, today is the youngest that you'll ever be, and that's true for everybody in this room. Isn't that true? Today is you'll never be this young again after this day. So it's time to really start applying yourself, folks. Stop talking. Pray more, talk less. Pray more, talk less. Because I know for a fact, when I began my climb, I had to learn some principles. And so what I want to talk to you about tonight is about principles. You must establish a why. You must have, anybody ever heard of the book Purpose Driven Life? Good book, right? Purpose is a huge entity. It's a huge, huge thing when it comes to achieving your goals. You got to know why you're doing what you're doing, because that gives you the resilience to keep going when stuff gets tough. Because it's going to get tough. It's going to get tough sometimes, But joy comes in the morning, as the Baptist preacher says, But you're going to have to go through some stuff. But purpose gives you resilience, and resilience is bounce back power. So don't think that this is going to be an easy road, And you can't climb up a smooth mountain anyway, right? You need some adversity. You need some, because whatever it took to get there is going to be the same thing it's going to take to stay there. So in your climbing success, I want you to know that you're going to face some adversity. I've heard a lot of good goals. I heard a lot of good objectives that people want to achieve. And it's going to take some grit. So be prepared for that. Be willing to be in hustle mode, then grand hustle mode, And that's what it's going to take. Hopefully, we will be there right by your side. As long as you don't leave, we ain't going nowhere. But we'll be there to walk with you and to get you like a mentor, someone to talk to. And, and God willing, I'll be around and I can help you too. But be prepared to roll up your sleeves and go to work. This is going to require work. And the work ethic that it requires, your kids are going to watch the way you work. That's going to be passed on to them. I always watch my dad go to work. And in Philly, in winter times it's rough. It's snowing and raining and wind and all that kind of stuff. But he never skipped a day of work. He never said, you know what? Man, I don't feel like dealing with that traffic out there and the snow. No, Pops went to work, and I knew sometimes he wasn't feeling 100%. But I saw my dad go to work every day. And I got that gift of work ethic because of what I saw in him. I don't skip it. So keep this in mind. This is going to be, can I tell you a little story? Tell you a little story right now? I like telling stories, but they're based on a true story though. So everything's true. Sometimes your city, your hometown wants to keep you there. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. You always say, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go here. But it's some situations and circumstances just happen sometimes. When I wanted to leave Philadelphia and travel to the West Coast, for some reason, it just seemed like it was hard to do, just the technical stuff. So what I decided to do after I graduated college, went back home, and home wasn't the same anymore. It just wasn't. Everything was smaller. The houses were smaller, the streets were smaller, the trees were smaller. I said, this ain't the same. I got to get out of here. So I saved a little money. I hustled up some money in this commission job, and I think altogether about $6,000, right? And I said, okay, now I'm gonna make my big move to California, right? I'm sure I'm the only one that wanted to go to California to be on TV, right? And that was my goal, to be on TV, to be a weatherman, in a news team. And so the night that I was supposed to leave, they had this party for me, a going away party, which I'm not sure if that's a compliment when people are partying that you're leaving, like, see you later, Greg, And it was, we had an approaching snowstorm. So got to the airport, I'm sitting there going, this is my big break. You guys keep this in mind, because you're going to have that day, that occasion when it's going to be your big break and you're making your move, So I was making my move, right? And I got to the airport, I'm sitting there waiting for them to say, okay, you can board now. And all of a sudden, the pilots of the airplane, they got off the plane and they walked right in front of me. And I heard the guy say, it's the darndest thing, George. 1 second, everything was fine. Next thing you know, the windshield cracks right in front of my face. I heard him say that. And then they said, passengers of flight so-and-so, we're going to have to do some repairs on the plane, and then we'll be taking off. Like, I ain't getting on that plane, He didn't even know why it cracked, So I said, lady, book me first thing in the morning. So she booked me first thing in the morning. I went back home. The house was dark. Everybody was gone. The party was over. That's how you know that you ain't supposed to be there no more. This was not my destiny. And so I actually went to bed with my clothes on, because I'm good. I'm getting out of here. This is my break, right? And I overslept. My sister called me and she said, Gregory, where's mommy? What are you doing? You're supposed to be in California. And I said, oh man, what time is, get on down here. And she had just got a new car, road trip, right? Now we were about 45 minutes from the airport. My plane was taking off in 90 minutes. And this is the city. I was driving through that city, man, them street like a crazy person. I'm surprised that I ain't gonna stop, right? So I got there. I didn't even check in my bags. I said, Trisha, just send my bags. Send them. I just got to go. And I'm running through the airport like the commercial, right? Jumping over kids and old people, And I finally get. And why is it your gate is always like gate 99, And I finally get to the gate, and I see them taking that tube thing away from the plane. I was like, man, this is the second time I'm trying to leave this city. And I'm blowing the steam on the window like, oh my God, I'll never make it. And all of a sudden, this angel taps me on the shoulder. Well, he looked like a janitor, but I'm thinking he was an angel, He had his cap, he didn't have his cap to the back, he had his cap to the side. This guy was really cool. And this is what he said, yo, home, you supposed to be on that plane? Just like that. I looked at him, I'm hip all of a sudden, I go, word, He said, follow me. I'm like, follow you? What's it? And he goes through this door. He's an employee of the airport, and he goes through this door, and it's dark stairwell, and I'm going down. I can't even see my hand in front of my face, but I can hear the metal steps, Bing, I said, oh, great, I missed my plane. Now I'm going to get mugged, right? And all of a sudden, he opens the door, and I can hear the engines of the plane, and the snow is coming down, the wind is blowing. He said, you see that rope ladder in the back of the cable hanging down? He said, just grab it and climb up and get in there. I said, you want me to do what? True story, folks. He said, I'm like, I start panicking, right? Like hyperventilating, right? And then he said 2 words or 3 words. It's your only way. Okay, 4 words. It's your only way. That's what he said. And that's when I realized I had to do this. I have to do this. This is my second time trying to get out of here, right? And I was so happy, I gave him $20. Now, I only had $120 to my name after I had my car sent out and everything, my clothes and everything. I'm sorry? No. No, they didn't. Which then, this is in the late 80s. Then, right now, they wouldn't even let you get on, but, and I just said, I got to do it. And the wind was blowing, and I just jumped on this cape. If you ever look at the older planes, they have this thing that comes down in the back of the plane, and it's like a cable ladder. And, so I'm climbing up this thing, and the wind is blowing, and I'm looking like the black James Bond in the back of this. And I finally get up in the plane, and as soon as I get up in the plane, the door thing starts coming up like this. It closes. And I go, oh, snap, And I got myself together. I had a big old parka. You know those parka coats where they have the fur around the rim of the hoodie? That was me. Right, a soul brother Eskimo. And I'm walking through, and I was so far back in the plane, the flight attendants were up further up. And they were seated. And the lady looked at me. I'll never forget the look on her face. She's like, where did you come from, right? I showed her my ticket so she wouldn't panic. I got it. And she didn't say a word. She just went that way. And guess what, folks? My seat was still waiting for me. Because they can give your seat away if you don't arrive within a certain amount of time, right? 30 minutes, right, 30 minutes. But my seat was still waiting for me. I said, I'm supposed to be here. That's right. I said, now let's get this journey going. And I had to work for it. I told you, this is going to take work. And when I got to LA, it was sunny. It was like temperatures in the upper 70s, and I said, so this is where everybody is, I felt like a country boy just leaving West Virginia, But my point is, you got to put that effort. You got to put toward the effort for anything that you want. If it's worth working for, it's worth having, you got to be willing to do this. Now, that wasn't the end. That was just the beginning. That's just how I got there, So let me fast forward this a little bit. We talked about resilience. We talked about why. My why was my mama. I wanted to do something nice for a woman that did something nice for me, like have me and never leave me, That was my why. And so what happened was, I was working at Circuit City, and anybody remember Circuit City? Remember Circuit City, right? And I didn't want to, it wasn't a glamorous job. I was selling refrigerators and washers and dryers and kitchen appliances, right? But it was something. I found myself homeless, and that's a long story. We don't have time for that. It was complicated, Okay, I'll tell you real quick because y'all look at me like crazy, like, okay. A friend of mine had a friend that needed a roommate. And she said, oh, Greg, you coming out to California? You could be my roommate because I want to go back to law school and I can save money. Oh, no problem. Well, see, I didn't know that she started liking me. And I met somebody at the club, and I brought her to the condo. Woo, what'd I do that for? That was the wrong thing to do, and she got really upset and said, you got to leave. And this was 2 days before Thanksgiving. I said, yeah, I'll be gone, this weekend. She said, no, you don't understand. You got to leave tonight. 2 days on a Tuesday, 2 days before Thanksgiving. And so I found myself homeless for 34 days. I didn't see that coming, but at least I still had the job at Circuit City, right? So I said, no problem, I'm just going to save up and, and it took me 34 days, and I was living in my car, and in the last week, and this lady named Betty, she was the landlord of this apartment building that I wanted an apartment in. And I kept talking to her every week. Betty, look, I got more money. Please don't give this away. Folks, sometimes it's nice to have somebody that is kind to you during your climb, during your journey. Because she showed me those keys every week when I come in and said, hey, Betty, I got more money. And she said, here are the keys, Greg. This apartment ain't going nowhere. I believe in you. I needed that. Anybody ever need a kind word like that during your climb? It inspired me. So I finally got enough money to get this apartment, and I didn't have a stitch of furniture, but I had a kitchen and I had a bathroom, and the important things, I was changing my clothes every day for work and at the gym, the gym membership. They thought I was going in there to work out. I was going in there to brush my teeth, get ready for work, but it's going to be rough, folks. You're going to have some of those days, one day at a time. So I love what you said. One day at a time. Your sobriety, one day at a time. Sometimes you just have to do that. I felt like giving up. I really did. So I can relate to you, man. I was like, I'm just going to go back home. And in Philly, if you don't do something after high school and you don't go into the service or something like that, you get a job at the Nabisco factory, making cardboard boxes on the 3rd floor with no windows. I said, well, I'm living in my car. This is crazy. I'm going to go back home. But I'm going to give this one more day. One more day. And then that day came. I said, I'm going to give it one more day. And then one more day. And you see where this is going, right? And I remember a quote from Martin Luther King. He said, only in the darkest nights do you truly see the stars. And that made me realize, that this is dark now. And what I learned was just before you're about to quit, just before you're about to give up, your blessing's about to kick in. So if you ever get to the point where you say, man, I don't know if I can keep this going, give it one more day. One more day. And God he'll make a way. I'm positive of that because it happened for me. So I'm gonna leave that right there for right now. But I did start to doubt my value. I was low. Anybody ever been low? You think you hit rock bottom, and then you discover that rock bottom has a basement. Just hang in. Let me encourage you. Whatever you're going through right now, let me just encourage you to keep going, because you never know when your time is going to kick in, and it will if you don't quit. If you don't quit, then you haven't lost. And what was it? Was it Wayne Gretzky or Michael Jordan that said, you miss 100% of the shots that you never take? Was that Michael Jordan? Yeah. So anyway, okay, so commitment number 1 is your mindset. Establish a mindset that, you know what, my why. And I would like for you guys just really quickly think about, if I said, who's your why, or what's your why? What's your sense of purpose? Why do you want what it is that you want? What would you say? Just think about it right now. How many people have a why right now in your life? That's good. That's good. because you need that. You're going to need that why. Because when it gets tough, you're going to have to remember why you're doing this. And for me, it was for my mom. I'm going to speed this up, but one day, after I got the job, my mom's refrigerator broke down, you know? And this was something that I prayed on because I was getting dogged out, like really dogged out by my coworkers at Circuit City, because they kept telling me, Greg, you can't be a weatherman. I was studying to become a weatherman, and any kind of information I could get, you wouldn't catch me without a weather report from the LA Times in my inside pocket. I was a weatherman. I just didn't have a job yet, but I was a weatherman as far as I'm concerned, you know. And it was, they thought I was crazy. In fact, there's the great philosopher, Epictetus. He said, if you want to be successful in this world, you must be willing to let folks think that you are stupid and crazy. And I said, wow, you know what? You think that I'm stupid and crazy. And folks, I told you guys in class, if folks ain't laughing, if they're laughing at your goals, if they're not laughing at your goals ain't big enough. Make them bigger, you know, because the last laugh is sweetest. And that last laugh will be yours. Commitment number 2, take action. You got to be willing to do something, folks. You got to be willing to get out and like do your research, get your business license, your permits, you know, especially for your entrepreneurs. You know, actually do the thing that you need to do. Get your paperwork done. In class, we call it eat the frog leg first. Eat the frog leg first. Frog leg means do the thing that you don't want to do. Do that first. Do that before you start just doing escape stuff. You know, because entrepreneurs have to handle their business, your insurance documents, your employee documents, and all this, and your equipment, your bricks and mortar. Get all that stuff done. Do the boring stuff. Adults, mature people do the boring stuff, but that makes you successful. Because in this world, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And by being on top of your business, you know, you don't lose money, you don't waste money, you know, and you need that. So your commitment is to take action. Commitment number 2 is actually put one foot in front of the other. This is preparation. This is opportunity. You want to make these two meet, because that's when the magic happens. When preparation meets opportunity, everything starts happening for you. But you got to get to that point. You got to roll up your sleeves and be ready to go to work. Mark Twain said, do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. And that's true. Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. You're going to have storms. And those storms are just, they're voices. You ever had a voice say, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. You're not smart enough. You're not strong enough. You don't have the right pedigree. You know that doubt. Ever had doubt in your mind, that voice that tries to convince you not to go forward? It was Einstein that said, superior spirits will always be encountered by the mediocre mind. Superior spirits of greatness will always be encountered or challenged by the mediocre mind, which means, you know what? Everybody has both. You have that superior spirit of greatness voice, and you have the mediocre mind. Which one will win? Which one will win, folks? The one you feed the most. That's right. So the things that you allow your mind to be exposed to, that's going to strengthen you, or it's going to hold you back in life. And that includes the people that you hang out with. You got to hang out with the right folks. And listen, I'm not saying we're better than anybody else, but you ever had two people that love each other, but they're just not good for each other? Okay? You got to make some decisions, because you got to move. This is not a practice. This is the real thing right now. You know, so show me who you hang out with, and I'll show you where you're going to be in 5 years. It's as simple as that. And some of these people can be family members. You know, you got to be very, very careful about who you allow on your bus. Y'all remember the bus? All right? Think of a bus as a metaphor for your life. Who do you allow on your bus? In other words, who do you allow in your life on a daily basis that's influencing the way you think, the places that you go, the conversations that you have? You know, who are those people that you allow that close to you? And you have to ask yourself, are they good to be around, for me to be around them and for them to be around me? Are they good to be around my family? Are they good to be around my children? How do they make me look around my work people and my business associates? How about my community? Maybe you're a soccer coach or a basketball coach or whatever, and the people that you hang around, how do they influence you? How do they make your reputation look? You know, you got to ask yourself, you know, and then make a decision. Just make a decision, folks. A lot of people that hang around the wrong kind of people, they influence you to go different places that you know you ain't got no business being there. Ever been someplace and your spirit tells you, you know what, I ain't got no business being here. I need to get away from here, right? And that's your spirit telling you this. Listen to it, because we want you to be free. We don't want you to get in trouble. We don't want you to go back in and all that. You know, we can't do as much as we can do for you inside that we can outside. You're on a mission now. You guys are 2.0. 2.0, baby. You know, we're trying to get stuff done. So I want to encourage you to be, to hang around people who feed you, people who serve you. And I don't mean serve you as a butler. I mean serve you. In other words, they're good for you. They help you become the best version of yourself. That's the decision that I'm going to encourage you to make starting tonight. And some of you know exactly who I'm referring to. So I just wanted to put that out there. I have this quote by this person, and this person I admire so much. And some of you know who this is, but I want to share. Can I share a quote with you really quickly? I'm only one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And I will not refuse to do the something I can do. I'm only one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And I will not refuse to do the something I can do. Who said that? I'll give you a hint. It's a female. I'll give you another hint. She was blind. Look at that. Look at that. How many people, raise your hand if you ever heard the name Helen Keller? Look around the room. That's 90% of the room. This woman couldn't see, she couldn't hear, and she couldn't speak. She learned to communicate through Braille. And she did so many things. She was one of the few people during the early 1900s that achieved a degree of higher learning with those handicaps. She was an author, she was a teacher, she was a writer. She helped start a union. This lady was, and she couldn't hear, she couldn't speak, and she couldn't see. So ladies and gentlemen, I got one question for you. What's your excuse for not doing something great before you leave this world? You got this. You got this. All you have to do is, I say, pray up first, pray more, talk less. Don't be telling everybody about your goals, because you know how that goes. But apply yourself. And I'm sure you'll get there. And let us help you. I'm feeling like I need to get the wrap up here pretty soon. Be ready for your blessings. Like I said, prepare. Be ready for your blessings. The things that you do matter. The little stuff matters. How many entrepreneurs and future entrepreneurs we have here in the house? Oh, okay, a lot. So this should really speak to you because I am an entrepreneur and I know what it takes to be successful on this level. My dad started me as a young person to be an entrepreneur, and I wonder if he knew what he was doing. Because one day I came to him and I said, Pops, you know, it was early in the morning, he's getting ready for work, I'm getting ready for school. I was 15 years old. I said, Pops, you know what, I'm almost ready to get my learner's permit so I can be driving. He said, really? I said, yeah. I said, I've been thinking. He said, you've been thinking, huh? I said, yeah, I think it's time for me to have my first car. Oh, really? I said, yeah, and I think you ought to buy it for me. He said, oh, really? And I'm ready for that pushback, you know? He said, you know what, Greg? I think you're right. I said, really? He said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm going to bring your car home with me from work today. I said, really? And he goes, yeah. I should have known something was behind that, you know. And all of a sudden, you know, I'm so happy. He come home 4:35 every day, 4:35, like clockwork. I'm waiting out front, waiting for him to come around the corner. Here he comes around the corner, that same old raggedy yellow Chrysler that he drove. I said, Pops, where's my car? He said, your car is in the trunk. I said, what do you mean my car is in the trunk? He says, yeah, come on, Greg, let me show you. And he opens the trunk, and there's this big box in there. I said, Pops, what's up with the box? He said, inside that box is your first car. Now I'm getting mad, right? Like, What kind of sick joke is this to play on your son, right? He said, open the box, Greg. I opened the box. You know what's inside that box? A nice, shiny, brand new, state-of-the-art lawnmower. I said, Pops, what's up with the lawnmower? He said, with this lawnmower, you can go out and you can earn yourself enough money to buy your first car. Oh, man. And he said, oh, and I want you to pay me back for the lawnmower, too. I said, what? He said, you can take this summer and next summer, but I want you to pay me back for the lawnmower also. I said, you know what? At first I was upset. Then I said, well, you know what? At least I have a way. At least he gave me a tool. And not only did I pay him back for that lawnmower that summer, but I bought 6 more lawnmowers. And I charged my friends 15% of whatever they used, whatever they made using my lawnmowers. And then I had my own lawnmower too. So I was making my own money. Then I had them bringing me money. And I said, hey, this is nice. You know what I learned? What he taught me? If roll up your sleeves, go to work. You work hard, you get paid. So I learned, if I want money, cut grass. If I want more money, cut more grass. You know, and so I became an entrepreneur at 15 years old. And I've been an entrepreneur ever since. Even when I had a little job, I had something else going on. Folks, I respect entrepreneurs in this room because it ain't easy, but it is rewarding. It's very rewarding. I want to show you, I was told that I should share this video. And it's a video, some of you have seen it, but I just call it Fake It Till You Make It. It's part of the climb, you know, of trying to become this weatherman and people doubting me and whatever. You guys want to see it? Can I show it to you real quick? It's only a few minutes. Okay, why don't we do that?
Rain, snow, and cold temperatures. And as you can see, we have a very special guest with us. Kind of crafted here, but Urban Magic Johnson and Mr. Robert Johnson. Happy New Year.
Introducing one of the hottest motivational sensations to arrive on the national scene in quite some time. He's Greg Ketter, otherwise known as the Inspirator.
Once you're there and you have the attitude that you want to change your life and you want to improve the standards of your life, then I'll show you how, even if we start with just baby steps.
Greg is visiting cities across the United States, delivering his real-world motivational presentation, The Power of Excellence.
The Power of Excellence is about raising your personal esteem and your professional standards. It's about making personal breakthroughs in your life.
With an impressive sales background of more than 18 years, Greg Ketter decided to defy the odds by seeking a broadcasting career in Los Angeles, California, the nation's second largest television market. With no previous TV experience, many gave Greg little chance of succeeding. In fact, they told him it was the impossible dream.
I deserve more. I know I deserve more, and I could do more.
Corporate trainer Greg Ketter of the Ketter Group shares his ideas on a surefire formula to get ahead by using your own expertise.
Winston Churchill said, what is the use of living if it not be to strive for noble causes and to make this muddled world a better place for those who will live in it once we are gone? Would really appreciate a word or two about the value of education.
Let me say thank you, Greg Ketter. I want to thank Greg for his efforts.
Can you take me higher to a place where line and sea? Can you take me higher to a place with golden streams? Oh, I would like a world of change. It helps me to appreciate those nights and those dreams. But my friend, I'd sacrifice all those nights.
You know, this whole thing is not about flossing. This whole thing is not about bragging. This is about lifting the spirits of people. So what I like to do is bring out the best in people. I like to let them know good things, bring them some good news. It may sound overly optimistic, but I don't care.
I just wanted to encourage you to pursue your dreams and don't stop, because I know what it did for me and what it's doing for me, and I know what it will do. I know what it will do for you. pursue your dreams and don't stop. The last and final action or commitment is about dreams, about pursuing your dreams. Trust your dreams. If you have an inkling inside of you and it's saying, come on, let's do this, we can do this, that's your spirit telling you, that's your talent saying, we got this. Let's just go for it. Let's just put one foot in front of the other, do what we need to do, and make this happen. It's going to happen if you believe in yourself. And I know that motivational speakers talk about that, believe yourself. It's true. That part of it's true, because I don't believe in all this motivational stuff. If you can breathe, you can achieve, yeah, okay. Why am I fantastic 3 days later? But you do, once you decide, you know what, I got this. I know I can do this if I just, and we're going to help you with these goals. Tell your dreams. Wake up in the morning and say, you know what, dream? I'm coming for you, dream. I'm not going to leave you, dream. I'm not going to give up on you, dream. You're my reason. Everybody's got a reason why they should be here. You have a reason. People are going to be blessed because you're in this world. And it's not just about you. Like that young man said, what is the use of living if it not be to strive for noble causes and to make this muddled world a better place for those who will live in it once we are gone? This is about your legacy. What are you going to leave to this and to your family members? You want to be a generational blessing, not a generational curse. Whoa. I hope somebody's listening to me. Anybody listening to me right now? Okay, good. And I believe in you. Okay. Nothing in this world is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. If you claim it, this is your time. This is not random that you're here this evening. You're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here within the sound of my voice. This message is for you, everybody, and I truly believe that. So I'm gonna end with the same thing I started, same message. Seek out your why. Understand, what is my purpose? Why do I want what it is that I want? Because that's what's going to give you the resilience to keep on going. Even once you get into some valleys and things get a little rough, that resilience, that purpose, that why is going to give you the energy and the fortitude to keep on going until you reach it. I've seen so many people that are talented, they stop and they give up. They're, oh man, the world can benefit from what you know and from your gift. And everybody's got a gift. You believe that everybody's got a gift? I believe that. Everybody in this room has a gift. And we need you to achieve your gift so that you can be a blessing to us and to those people that you love and people that love you. Y'all got praying parents and grandmamas praying over you. You know that, right? One time at the graduation, this lady came up to me and said, Grandmom, she says, Greg, Open Prisons, I'm so thankful for what they did for Junior. I guess Junior was her grandson. She said, he's going to be all right now. I can see he's going to be all right. And now I can go home. And she wasn't talking about driving across town. She wanted to make sure that Junior was going to be all right so she could leave this world. She was tired. So folks, what you do is going to affect the people that you love and love you. This is important. This is important stuff. I mean, I don't mean to get so deep on you, put pressure on you, but you're important. Your achievements are important, are critical to the success of your family tree, of your community, anybody that you come in contact with. So it matters. You matter. And you are enough. And don't let anybody tell you or try to dissuade you and tell you that you can't make it or that you don't have the right stuff, because as long as you got God on your side, I believe you have the right stuff. I believe that you will achieve what it is that you have in your heart to achieve. The two most important days of your life, the day you were born and the day you find out why, okay? So it is time to seek out your why and show this world what you're made of. All right? I'm done. Can I drop the mic? No. Thank you so much, folks, for putting up with me for the last hour or so. I enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys. Don't be a stranger, not just a huddle, but stop in, and even in my classes. I love when I'm going to have my class and somebody just shout, "Hey, Mr. Ketter," I love that. So don't be a stranger, okay? And God bless you.